Hello, my name is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous. I wanted to talk to you today about how the process of divorce works. Most people are not aware of how it works because they've never been here before. It can be very frightening, intimidating, and I want you to have some knowledge so that you can know how to proceed or how process is going to work as you go through divorce. So I am a domestic mediator, and I also have worked in the divorce world for the past 16 years, holding support groups, being a divorce coach, and also, of course, mediating. I have multiple resources on going through divorce. But people are bewildered as they go through this process, again, because they've never been here before. I wanted to give you an idea of some structure of how the divorce process works so that you are not uninformed and you can proceed through this with some knowledge and some confidence. I'm going to speak today primarily about a 5-step process that is helpful for you to know how the structure works, but also for those of you who can work together with your spouse to do a lot of the work yourself so that you don't have to pay the attorneys the high fees. Now, some of it is going to need some legal eyes, some legal guidance, and I'll account for that in these 5 steps. But if you and your spouse can work together, you can get a majority of this done. And we'll discuss on how that's going to work and how to proceed. But if you can work together in the debts and the assets and the retirement and the co-parenting, whatever part you can agree on, you can do yourself. Now, we're going to have some legal protections, as I stated, because that is very important. But I want you to know that a lot of this work, if you are able to work with your spouse, can be done beforehand, before you even hire an attorney. So let's talk about those 5 steps. Step number 1 is filing for divorce. One of you is going to need to file for divorce. There is a document called a complaint for divorce that you can secure from your clerk's office, your county clerk's office. And in Michigan here, that's on the second floor. I'm not sure where that's located in your state. Here in Kent County, it's on the second floor, but you can locate where the clerk's office is. You also can receive that complaint ahead of time so that you can fill it out at home. If you're in Michigan, I have one that I can send to you available upon request in Kent County, Michigan. But you can get that ahead of time and you can complete that. So you will need to submit that to the clerk's office. There is a cost, about $150 or so, to file that complaint. Now, if you were to bring your spouse with you, it is going to be required that he respond to the complaint of divorce. He or she respond. So if it's possible that you can go together, one can file, the other can respond right there, and you can have that completed. If not, then someone is going to need to deliver that complaint of divorce to the other party, in which they would have to respond to. So that is the first step in filing. The second step is going to be setting up mediation. What is mediation, you may ask? Mediation is when you come together with a neutral party. This is someone who's in the middle and is not on either side, but actually for both sides to get this resolved. You can set up a mediation. You're going to need to find all of the documents and all of the information that you have about finances and retirement. And this workbook right here that is available free upon request is Seeing Your Attorney for the First Time. This workbook is going to prepare you on all of the items that you need to get together. It's going to give you a document checklist. You're going to need W-2s. You're going to need appraisals on the homes if you have more than one. You're going to need a list of personal property and the division of how you want to proceed with that. So this workbook has proven to be very, very helpful for a lot of people. So request it from me, and we will get that sent to you so you can get all of that those documents together, all of the numbers together, and then you're going to set up a mediation. You're going to come together with that neutral party. Now, you can do this with attorneys or without attorneys, but it's possible for you to get this completed. I've seen several people come to me without attorneys. Now, I'm going to give you some precaution in the next step, but it's possible to do this. So instead of hiring those attorneys to fight it out in court, you have the opportunity to come to a more peaceful resolution in the setting of a mediation. So if you have any questions on that, please feel free to contact me. I'd be more than happy to give you that, because I wholeheartedly believe in mediation. It is an opportunity for you to have the power in your life. Instead of standing before a judge and he or she looking at your life on a few pieces of paper and decide, okay, here's how your life's going to go. You have the opportunity with mediation, if you have a signed agreement that is a legal document, to present to the court and say, this is our life, this is how we've decided that we are going to divide the assets, the debts, how we're going to co-parent together, and then the court is going to give it its stamp of approval, and it is official. Now, here's my precautionary. Once you have gone to mediation and you have that agreement, I always recommend, urge, suggest that you have an attorney, that each of you go to a separate attorney, you sit down with them, and you have an attorney review this agreement that you have reached, ideally before you have signed it. So you've gone to mediation, you have created an agreement without signature. You now take that to an attorney, pay them their fee, and ask them to review this document for legalities. There are many landmines, such as appraisals of home, retirement accounts in particular, that can have ramifications of your agreement. I don't want you to have any surprises. So I highly recommend, with all the folks that I work with who do not have attorneys with them, that they get an attorney to finalize, to review it, to give you words of caution and precaution of what you need to consider. And many times mediation agreements will be changed or tweaked just to give that special assurance, guidance, and completeness to the agreement. So the next step is going to be, you're going to hire a source for QDRO. QDRO stands for Qualified Domestic Relations Order. What this is if you have a retirement account, usually it's in one spouse's name, you're going to want to transfer typically part of that, typically 50% of that, into your name. So to do this requires an expert. Some attorneys do it, but you can hire a source that is going to create this QDRO. I have a source here. I don't have it up here. It's called QDRO Express LLC. .com. You can look those folks up. They have qualified people that can do it. It is a source that many attorneys use for a QDRO, but it is essential, if you have retirement accounts, that you have a QDRO. This allows you to transfer those funds without penalties, without taxes, as you go through divorce. So it allows you to set up your own retirement as you are separating this with divorce. Very, very important document and part of the process. So let's say that you have completed your agreement. You took your agreement to an attorney. He reviewed it. He said, well, change this. You're a little vulnerable here. I'd like to see this worded differently. That happens, and that's on their preference. And legalese that they want to put into this document that's going to help you as you take it to the court and also help to protect you. So once you have completed that agreement, your signatures are on it, you feel confident this is right and fair, you have completed your QDRO, you're now ready for the next step. That next step is to complete a judgment of divorce. That's what you hire the attorney to do. However, you can create your own judgment of divorce. It's online, it's available. You'd have to find it in your county, in your state, but you can create this judgment of divorce. And with this judgment of divorce, it's going to allow you to put in all this information. I have a dummy one that I call it a dummy one that you can look at to see what it looks like when it's completed. But it walks you through all these steps of what you have determined. And then you're going to create this judgment of divorce. You're going to put the agreement as the addendum or the attachment on the back. And you are going to be able to proceed and take this to the court and finalize your divorce. Now, in Michigan, you do need to wait 6 months if you have minor children. Without minor children, it would be 60 days. So that is the process. Now, with children, you may need to include friend of the court. If you have created spousal support or child support, you're going to need to contact friend of the court possibly, or there are calculators online where you can figure out what the calculation should be of your child support or what the calculation should be for your spousal support. So that's going to vary again by state. Typically, spousal support is not considered in less than marriage of 10 years. So if you've been married more than 10 years, it's a consideration, not a guarantee, but it is a consideration. So those are other details that we could work through at another time. But I did want you just to get an overall view of the structure, whether you decide to do it yourself or you decide to have attorneys. Because quite frankly, you're going to be sitting in an attorney's office and they're going to explain this process, but they're also charging you about $350 an hour. So the more knowledge you can have as you go into this process, the better. In fact, as you complete this workbook, you can take all of this information with the documentation to your attorney and say, here it is. Now let's get to work. So my goal is to minimize the effect and the damage done to you financially, emotionally, spiritually, and legally. So if you have questions, connect with me. Again, my name is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous. I've been doing this work for a long time, and I want to be there to guide you every step of the way as you go through this process and also the trauma of divorce.